Yo, what up, YouTube? Welcome to Sinn-Take. My name is Sin, back at y'all with another one, man. But real quick, I just wanted to share something with y'all, and I need y'all to watch this through the whole video, okay? I'm gonna tell y'all how semen retention, drug addiction, gluttonous eating, and no fap are all connected. I know what y'all thinking. Gluttonous eating, yes. Gluttonous eating, semen retention, no fap, and drug addiction are all connected. And I'm gonna tell y'all how they all connected. Alright? So, you already know that no fap, right? No fap, you are trying not to jack off. Alright? Because you have a porn addiction. And your brain is addicted to that dopamine release, that quick dopamine release that you have, that you get from busting a nut. Okay? That's no fap. You try not to jack off. Semen retention is holding in your energy so you have some type of control. So you have some type of control to where you holding in that energy and you training your mind to not be addicted to that dopamine release. Okay? So when you holding in your energy, you practicing that, you suppressing that release of dopamine and the release of actual semen. Okay, so you training your mind to not get so excited. You training your mind to not be addicted to that dopamine release that you get from releasing. Okay, and that is semen retention. That's semen retention. Now, with gluttonous eating, right? People that eat that way tend to have some type of addiction. And for the most part, it's food, but it's not only food in all cases. In some cases, that gluttonous eating is connected to other addictions, like drug addiction, right? Because when you addicted to drugs, right? When you do heroin or you drink, the moment you do that, the floodgates of dopamine is released in your mind, where you experiencing extreme pleasure. You experiencing overwhelming pleasure that you yourself can't even control. That's how the addiction is formed, because you want to have that. You want to feel that pleasure again. You want to have that same experience. That's why you become addicted to drugs. And then along come the dependency and all of that, when your body becomes dependent on it. But it starts with that. So with gluttonous eating, it's the same thing, because clearly there in a lot of the cases it's a food addiction. But sometimes gluttonous eating is just another form, and it's another indication that one does not have control. They do not have control, and they have other addictions as well. You know what I mean? They usually, in some cases, not all cases, where there's gluttonous eating involved, that is a person that cannot control their dopamine. They have no control over it. That means, and that is why they are addicted to drugs. That is why they're addicted to drugs, because the floodgates open when they have a dopamine release. So in their brain, their dopamine is releasing tremendously. So guess what? When you eating the way you eating uncontrollably like that, very gluttonous, they are getting a dopamine release. They are experiencing the same type of dopamine release they would get from drugs, alcohol, jacking off, releasing, all of that. That is how they all are connected. So when you see people like that, especially people that either are still addicted to drugs or they used to be, they usually eat that way. They eat gluttonous because they are getting a huge dopamine release, and they never had control. They never had any type of control or training in their mind to kind of, manage that. You know, they have no management skills of that. So when they eat and they feeling that dopamine release and they feeling all good, they just want more and more and more and more. They have no control. So that is how they are all connected. Okay? So I just wanted to explain that to y'all. You know what I'm saying? All of those things, no fap. When you addicted to porn and releasing, you know what I mean? Semen retention. And the thing with semen retention, what makes it necessary is that it trains you. It teaches, by holding in that energy, you are learning to control that dopamine. You suppressing yourself from releasing that dopamine. And when you do release dopamine, it's in areas that are productive. You know what I mean? The only time you have a dopamine release and feeling good is when you're doing productive things. Like in my case, drinking water, I get a dopamine release from that. Doing these YouTube videos, I get a small dopamine release from that. I turned drug addiction and alcohol addiction and porn addiction and fapping into something positive, to where I get a dopamine release from those things, not from the bad shit. So I get a dopamine release from things that are actually helping me, not hurting me. So that's how all of those things are connected. I wanted to share that with y'all for those who want more insight on semen retention and how dopamine is the main cause of a lot of things. People don't just do drugs so they could, just do drugs. No, they do drugs and they have these addictions. They have drug addiction, alcohol addiction, food addiction, fapping addiction, all because of the release of the dopamine. And that's where gluttonous eating comes into play, because it shows the lack of control that one has. When you gluttonous eating and gorging down food, it's the same way with people that's on drugs, that have a drug addiction or alcohol addiction. They want to keep drinking and drinking. They want to keep shooting and shooting. They want to keep smoking and smoking. It's the same way with gluttonous eating. They just want to keep doing the same thing. So if you notice an addict, when they are not on drugs and they come down, they eat up everything. So that could mean two things. That could mean they either used to be an addict, or they still are an addict. But one thing is fact. One thing is definite, and that is that they have no control. They have zero control, and all they want to do is release dopamine. That's all they want to do. They just want to keep releasing. They have no control over it, and that's all they want to do, and nothing will come in between that. Alright? So that's how those things are connected. Alright? Remember that. My name is Sinn, the Sinn-Take. I'll holler at y'all later, man. Peace. Hustle hard, yeah, that's all day. I'ma keep putting in work, yeah, that's all day. I'm in here to do my job, yeah, that's all day. What I do ain't a facade, this is all J. Hustle hard, yeah, that's all day. I'ma keep putting in work, yeah, that's all day. I'm in here to